An unexpected arrival. The Galactic Academy of Advanced Sciences stood as a beacon of knowledge and progress, its crystalline spires reaching towards the stars it sought to understand. For millennia, the most brilliant minds from across the known universe had gathered here to push the boundaries of science and technology. Species from 1,000 worlds sent their best and brightest to study under the tutelage of the galaxy's greatest thinkers. On this particular day, however, the Academy's usual air of quiet contemplation was disturbed by an undercurrent of excitement and apprehension. Today marked a historic first, the arrival of a human student. Professor Psylocke, a veteran instructor with skin like polished obsidian and eyes that sparkled like distant nebulae, paced nervously in the grand atrium. His tentacles twitched with each sweep of his gaze across the gathered crowd of faculty and students. "I still think this is a mistake," he muttered to his colleague, Professor Azara, a being of pure energy contained within an iridescent force field. "Humans are barely out of their stellar cradle. How can they possibly contribute to our millennia of accumulated knowledge?" Azara's form pulsed with gentle blue light. "The Council believes they have potential. We must trust their judgment, old friend." Before Psylocke could respond, a hush fell over the atrium. The massive doors slid open, revealing a small figure dwarfed by the grandiose architecture. Zara Chen stepped into the academy, her brown eyes wide with wonder as she took in the alien splendor around her. At just 18 years old, she represented the hopes and dreams of her entire species. The weight of that responsibility showed in the slight tremor of her hands as she clutched her datapad. "Welcome, Zara Chen of Earth," intoned Headmaster Cronus, his voice resonating through the atrium. The ancient chronovore's multiple faces shifted through expressions of curiosity, skepticism, and cautious optimism. "You stand at the threshold of knowledge. Are you prepared for the challenges that await?" Zara swallowed hard, then lifted her chin. "I am, Headmaster. Thank you for this opportunity." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some whispered about the oddity of her bipedal form, others about the primitive technology she carried. A few remarked on the determination evident in her stance. As Zara made her way through the throng of alien beings, she couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. Creatures of every imaginable form surrounded her, some gaseous, some silicon-based, others defying classification entirely. The diversity was staggering, yet she was acutely aware of being the only human in sight. Professor Psylocke approached, his tentacles undulating in a gesture of formal greeting. "I am to be your primary instructor, human. I trust you familiarize yourself with our curriculum and expected standards of performance." Zara nodded, pulling up a holographic display from her datapad. "Yes, Professor. I've studied the material extensively. I'm particularly interested in your work on quantum entanglement across dimensional barriers." Psylocke's eyes narrowed, a mix of surprise and skepticism evident in their depths. "Indeed. Well, we shall see if your species' comprehension matches your ambition. Your first lecture begins in one standard rotation. Do not be late." As the professor glided away, Zara let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. She prepared for academic challenges, but the social and cultural hurdles were already proving daunting. A gentle touch on her arm startled her. She turned to find herself face to face, or rather, face to appendage, with a jellyfish-like creature hovering at eye level. "Greetings, Earth being," it pulsed in soothing bioluminescent patterns. "I am Lumina of the Medusans. Your presence here is most intriguing. Perhaps we might engage in knowledge exchange." Zara's face broke into a relieved smile. "I'd like that very much, Lumina. There's so much I hope to learn here." As the two began to converse, other students drifted closer, their initial wariness giving way to curiosity. Questions flew rapid fire. Is it true humans only perceive 3 primary colors? How do you manage interstellar calculations with such limited neural capacity? What is the purpose of the keratin filaments sprouting from your cranium? Zara did her best to answer, her enthusiasm growing with each exchange. She'd come here to learn, but perhaps she had something to teach as well. From across the atrium, Headmaster Kronos observed the interaction with interest. One of his faces wore a thoughtful expression as he turned to address the faculty. Colleagues, we stand at a crossroads. The human's presence here may be more significant than we initially believed. Observe closely, for I suspect we are about to witness the beginning of a profound change in our understanding of the cosmos and our place within it. Cultural clashes and curiosity. The first weeks at the Galactic Academy proved to be a whirlwind of challenges for Zara. Each day brought new marvels and frustrations in equal measure. In Professor Xylok's quantum mechanics class, Zara found herself struggling to keep up. The alien students interfaced directly with the lab equipment through neural links, manipulating quantum fields with mere thoughts. Zara, limited to her primitive human brain, had to rely on manual inputs and holographic displays. Miss Chen, Xylok's voice dripped with barely concealed impatience. We're waiting for your analysis of the particle entanglement experiment. Zara's fingers flew across her console, her brow furrowed in concentration. I'm sorry, Professor. I'm still processing the data. A ripple of amusement passed through the class. Xylok's tentacles twitched in annoyance. Perhaps we overestimated the human capacity for advanced scientific concepts. Very well, we'll proceed without your input. Cheeks burning with embarrassment, Zara redoubled her efforts. She might not have the advantage of direct neural interfaces, but she refused to be left behind. As the weeks progressed, Zara began to notice something curious. While her alien classmates excelled at processing vast amounts of information and performing complex calculations, they often struggled with creative problem-solving and thinking outside established parameters. This became evident during a xenobiology practical led by Professor Azara. The class was tasked with proposing solutions to combat a virulent pathogen threatening a distant colony world. The alien students approached the problem methodically, suggesting variations on established treatments. Zara, drawing on humanity's long history of battling diseases, proposed an unconventional approach. What if we engineer a benign version of the pathogen, she suggested, one that competes with the harmful strain for resources but doesn't cause illness. We could potentially outcompete the dangerous version without harming the ecosystem. A shocked silence fell over the lab. Professor Azara's energy form pulsed with interest. An intriguing proposal, Miss Chen. Unorthodox, certainly, but worthy of further investigation. This incident marked a turning point. Some of Zara's classmates began to view her differently, not as a primitive curiosity, but as a source of novel ideas. Lumina, the Medusan student who had first befriended Zara, became a regular study partner. Their discussions often stretched late into the night, covering topics ranging from advanced physics to the intricacies of human culture. I find your species' artistic expressions fascinating, Lumina pulsed one evening. The concept of creating beauty for its own sake, rather than purely functional purposes, is alien to many of us. Zara smiled, pulling up holographic displays of Earth's greatest artworks. Art is how we make sense of our world, Lumina. It's how we express our deepest emotions and ideas. As Zara shared music, literature, and visual art from Earth, a small but growing group of alien students gathered to listen and observe. The raw emotion and creativity in human art stirred something in them, sparking new neural pathways and modes of thought. Not everyone at the Academy welcomed this cultural exchange. Professor Xylok, in particular, viewed it with increasing alarm. Headmaster, he argued during a faculty meeting, the human's presence is becoming disruptive. Her limited intellect hampers class progress, and now she's distracting other students with frivolous human concepts. Headmaster Kronos regarded Xylok with his multiple faces, each showing a different aspect of his complex thoughts. And yet, he mused, I've noticed an uptick in creative thinking and novel approaches among the students exposed to Miss Chen's influence. Perhaps there's more to learn from humans than we initially believed. As the debate raged among the faculty, Zara faced her own internal struggles. The academic rigor of the academy pushed her to her limits. There were nights she cried herself to sleep, overwhelmed by the vastness of galactic knowledge and her own perceived inadequacies. But with each challenge, she found reserves of strength she didn't know she possessed. Zara began to internalize one of humanity's greatest traits: adaptability. She developed mnemonic techniques to help her process vast amounts of information without neural augmentation. She learned to leverage her classmates' strengths, forming study groups that combined alien computational power with human intuition and lateral thinking. Slowly but surely, Zara's grades began to improve. She wasn't at the top of her classes, but she was holding her own among students from far more advanced civilizations. Her perseverance didn't go unnoticed. Even the skeptical Professor Xylok found himself grudgingly impressed by her tenacity, if not her methods. Your solution to the quantum tunneling problem was unorthodox, Miss Chen, he admitted after one particularly challenging exam, but effective, I must concede. Zara beamed at the backhanded compliment. It wasn't much, but it was progress. As the first term neared its end, the Academy buzzed with excitement over the upcoming Galactic Science Fair. This prestigious event showcased the most promising research and innovations from students across the galaxy. Zara, inspired by her growing understanding of alien technologies and her own human perspective, began work on an ambitious project. She aimed to combine Earth's renewable energy concepts with advanced alien power systems to create a hybrid technology that could potentially solve energy crises on developing worlds. Late one night, as she pored over schematics and energy calculations, Zara received an unexpected visitor. Headmaster Kronos materialized in her quarters, his chronal energies swirling around him. "Your project proposal is most intriguing, Miss Chen," he said, his voices overlapping in a cosmic harmony. "It demonstrates a unique synthesis of multiple scientific disciplines and cultural perspectives." Zara straightened, both honored and nervous at the headmaster's presence. "Thank you, sir. I believe that by combining our different approaches, we can achieve something greater than either humans or other species could alone." Kronos nodded, his faces showing approval, curiosity, and something else, a hint of concern. "Your time here has already begun to change the Academy, young human, but be warned, change often brings resistance. There are forces at work that may not welcome the shifts you're inspiring." Before Zara could ask for clarification, the headmaster vanished, leaving her with more questions than answers. As she turned back to her work, Zara felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. She had come to the academy to learn, but it seemed she might end up teaching as well. The path ahead was uncertain, but she was determined to face whatever challenges lay in store. Little did she know that her greatest test, and humanity's chance to prove its worth to the galaxy, was rapidly approaching. The Galactic Crisis. As the Galactic Science Fair approached, an air of anticipation filled the Academy's halls. Students from all corners of the known universe put the finishing touches on their projects, each hoping to make a lasting impression on the galactic scientific community. Zara worked tirelessly on her hybrid energy system, fine-tuning the delicate balance between Earth's renewable concepts and alien power technologies. Her small lab had become a second home, littered with holographic schematics and prototype components. It was during one of these late-night work sessions that the crisis began. A piercing alarm shattered the quiet of the academy, its otherworldly wail echoing through every chamber and corridor. Zara bolted upright, her heart racing as emergency protocols activated around her. Holographic warnings flashed in a dozen alien languages, and the very air seemed to thrum with tension. "Attention all Academy personnel and students." Headmaster Kronos' voice resonated through the facility, his usually calm tones tinged with urgency. "We are facing a situation of utmost gravity. Report to the Grand Assembly Hall immediately." As Zara rushed to join the gathering crowd, she felt a chill run down her spine. In all her time at the Academy, she had never seen its residents so visibly shaken. The Grand Assembly Hall, A vast amphitheater capable of holding beings from every known species was a sea of nervous energy. Gaseous entities swirled in agitation. Crystalline beings vibrated at frequencies that set Zara's teeth on edge, and even the normally impassive energy beings like Professor Azara pulsed with erratic patterns. Headmaster Kronos appeared at the center of the hall, his chronal form expanded to fill the massive space. Each of his faces wore an expression of grave concern. "Esteemed colleagues and students," he began, his voices echoing in a dissonant chorus, "I regret to inform you that we face a threat of unprecedented magnitude. A quantum anomaly has been detected in the nearby Cygnus system, and it is expanding at an alarming rate." Holographic displays materialized throughout the hall, showing a roiling mass of energy that defied the laws of physics as Zara understood them. It pulsed and writhed, consuming everything in its path. "If left unchecked," Kronos continued, "our simulations predict that this anomaly will engulf not only our academy, but the entire sector within a matter of weeks. Trillions of lives are at stake." A cacophony of voices erupted as panic spread through the assembly. Zara watched in amazement as beings she had come to respect for their intelligence and composure devolved into frantic debates and accusations. Professor Xylok's voice cut through the chaos. "Surely our combined knowledge can find a solution. We have the greatest minds in the galaxy at our disposal. We've already deployed our most advanced quantum stabilization technologies," Kronos replied, his face showing a mix of frustration and despair. "Nothing has even slowed its growth. This anomaly operates on principles that defy our current understanding of physics." As the arguments raged on, Zara found herself drawn to the holographic displays. There was something about the anomaly's behavior that tickled at the edge of her mind, a pattern she couldn't quite grasp. While the alien scientists proposed increasingly desperate and complex solutions, each shot down as quickly as it was suggested, Zara's mind raced. She thought of the bedtime stories her grandmother used to tell her, tales of mythical creatures that grew stronger the more they were attacked. An idea began to form, wild and almost certainly impossible, but she couldn't shake it. "Excuse me," she called out, her voice barely audible above the din. "Excuse me." Silence fell gradually as the assembly turned to stare at the small human in their midst. Zara swallowed hard, fighting down her nervousness. "What if we're approaching this all wrong?" she suggested. "Instead of trying to destroy or contain the anomaly, what if we tried to feed it?" The silence deepened, punctuated by a few nervous twitters and the occasional burst of bioluminescence signaling confusion. Professor Xylok's tentacles writhed in agitation. "Absurd. The anomaly is already consuming everything in its path. Giving it more energy would only hasten our doom." But Headmaster Kronos held up a hand, his faces showing intense focus. "Explain your reasoning, Miss Chen." Taking a deep breath, Zara stepped forward. "In human mythology, we have stories of creatures that grow stronger the more they're attacked. But they often have a weakness: overfeeding. What if this anomaly is similar? What if, by trying to contain or destroy it, we're actually making it stronger?" She manipulated the holographic display, highlighting certain patterns in the anomaly's behavior. "Look here and here. Every time it encounters resistance, it seems to adapt and grow. But in areas where it meets no opposition, its expansion slows." A murmur ran through the crowd as the assembled minds began to process this new perspective. Professor Azara's energy form pulsed with excitement. "It's true. The data supports this hypothesis. But how do we use this information?" Zara's mind raced, drawing on everything she had learned about alien technologies and combining it with human intuition. What if we created a massive surge of energy, something so large that the anomaly couldn't adapt quickly enough? We could potentially overload it, causing it to collapse in on itself. The hall erupted in a flurry of discussion. Alien scientists began rapid-fire debates on the feasibility of the plan, the risks involved, and the sheer amount of energy that would be required. Headmaster Kronos raised his hands for silence. "This is a radical proposal, but given the dire nature of our situation, I believe it warrants serious consideration. Professor Xylok, assemble a team to run simulations based on Ms. Chen's hypothesis. Professor Azara, begin calculations on the energy requirements for such an attempt. As the assembly broke into focused work groups, Zara found herself at the center of a whirlwind of activity. Alien minds, far more advanced than her own, were now building upon her idea, refining and expanding it in ways she could barely comprehend. For the first time since the crisis began, a glimmer of hope shone in the grand assembly hall. The combined intellectual might of the galaxy's greatest minds was now focused on a plan born from a human fairy tale and a young woman's intuition. As Zara threw herself into the work alongside her alien colleagues, she couldn't help but feel a mix of terror and exhilaration. The fate of trillions hung in the balance, and humanity's unique perspective might just be the key to salvation. The race against time had begun, and the true test of human ingenuity was about to unfold on a cosmic scale. Human ingenuity unleash. The next few days passed in a blur of frenetic activity. The Galactic Academy, once a bastion of measured scientific inquiry, had transformed into a hive of urgent innovation. Zara found herself at the heart of it all, her initial idea spawning a multitude of theories and potential solutions. Professor Xylok's simulations had confirmed the viability of Zara's hypothesis, though the margin for error was razor-thin. The challenge now lay in generating and directing an unprecedented amount of energy with pinpoint precision. We need to create a focused beam of energy several orders of magnitude greater than anything we've ever attempted, Professor Azara explained, her form flickering with intense calculations. The slightest miscalculation could tear a hole in the fabric of space-time itself. Zara nodded, her mind racing. What if we combine technologies? Use the Academy's quantum reactors as a base, but augment them with techniques from multiple species. This suggestion led to a flurry of cross-disciplinary collaboration. Medusan students worked alongside crystalline folians, their vastly different approaches to energy manipulation yielding surprising synergies. Vastness contributed their expertise in plasma containment, while the multi-dimensional perspectives of the chronivores helped map out the complex temporal implications of their plan. Throughout it all, Zara found herself acting as a bridge between different scientific traditions. Her human ability to draw unexpected connections and think laterally proved invaluable in synthesizing diverse alien concepts into a cohesive whole. It's remarkable, Luna pulsed one evening as they took a brief respite from their work. Your species lacks our computational power and centuries of advanced knowledge, yet you see patterns and possibilities we often miss. Zara smiled tiredly. Humans have always been good at improvising, at making do with what we have. Maybe that's our real strength, not raw intelligence, but adaptability and creativity. As their plan took shape, a new challenge emerged. The energy beam would need to be generated and fired from multiple points simultaneously, requiring split-second coordination across vast distances. Our neural networks can handle the calculations, a Folian student named Krista chimed in, her crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns. But the reaction times needed for manual activation are beyond even our capabilities. Zara frowned, then suddenly sat up straight. Wait a second. What about using organic computer interfaces? On Earth, we've experimented with using living tissue to bridge the gap between electronic systems and organic minds. This idea sparked a new round of feverish development. Zara found herself working closely with the Academy's xenobiology department, adapting human biotechnology concepts to alien physiologies. The days blurred together as the team raced against time. The quantum anomaly continued to grow, swallowing star systems whole. Reports of evacuations and lost colonies trickled in, adding urgency to their efforts. Finally, after what felt like both an eternity and no time at all, they were ready for a full-scale test. The Academy's main courtyard had been transformed into a staging ground for their desperate plan. Massive energy collectors towered overhead, while a network of organic computer interfaces pulsed with an eerie bioluminescence. Zara stood at the central control platform, surrounded by a diverse team of alien students and faculty. Each brought unique skills and perspectives to the task at hand. "All systems are primed," Professor Xylok announced, his tentacles dancing over holographic displays. "Energy levels are at maximum capacity." Headmaster Kronos materialized beside them, his chronal form tense with anticipation. "The fate of countless worlds rests on this moment. Are we ready to proceed?" Zara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. She glanced around at her team, beings from across the galaxy united in a common purpose. "We're ready, let's do this." With a nod from Kronos, the countdown began. Zara's fingers flew over the controls, coordinating the efforts of dozens of alien minds interfacing directly with the machinery around them. Energy built up at 50%, 75%, 90%. The air crackled with power, reality itself seeming to warp around them as they channeled forces beyond mortal comprehension. 100% charge achieved, initiating firing sequence. A blinding beam of pure energy erupted from the Academy, joined seconds later by similar beams from relay stations across the sector. They converged on the quantum anomaly in a dazzling display of power and precision. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a silent roar that shook the very foundations of space-time, the anomaly began to contract. "It's working," Krista exclaimed, her crystalline form vibrating with excitement. "The anomaly's energy signature is destabilizing." Zara gritted her teeth, making minute adjustments to keep the beams focused as the anomaly writhed and pulsed. "Keep it steady. We can't let up now." For what felt like hours, but was in reality only minutes, they held their breath as the fate of galaxies hung in the balance. Then, with a final surge of energy, the anomaly collapsed in on itself, leaving behind nothing but empty space and a fading echo of its power. A stunned silence fell over the courtyard, broken only by the hum of cooling machinery. Then, as the realization of what they had accomplished sank in, a cheer erupted from the assembled team. Beings of all forms embraced, their differences forgotten in the joy of shared triumph. Zara found herself lifted off her feet by luminous tentacles, the Medusan's bioluminescence flashing in patterns of pure elation. As the celebration raged around her, Zara caught Headmaster Kronos' eye. The ancient chronivores' faces wore expressions of pride, wonder, and something else. A newfound respect not just for Zara, but for humanity as a whole. In that moment, Zara knew that everything had changed. Humanity had proven its worth on the galactic stage, not through advanced technology or superior intellect, but through the very traits that made them uniquely human: creativity, adaptability, and an indomitable spirit. The crisis was over, but the real journey was just beginning. As news of their victory spread across the stars, Zara couldn't help but wonder what other challenges and opportunities awaited humanity in the vast expanse of the cosmos. A new perspective on humanity. In the days following the resolution of the quantum anomaly crisis, the Galactic Academy buzzed with a new energy. The halls that had once echoed with skepticism about human potential now rang with excited discussions of Zara's contributions and the unique strengths of her species. News of the crisis and its resolution spread rapidly across the galaxy. Congratulatory messages poured in from worlds that had been on the brink of annihilation, their gratitude tinged with curiosity about the small, young species that had played such a crucial role in their salvation. Zara found herself at the center of attention, a position that both exhilarated and overwhelmed her. Alien students who had once dismissed her now sought her out, eager to learn more about human perspectives and problem-solving techniques. "It's remarkable," Krista mused during one such gathering. "Your species' history is so short compared to ours, yet you've developed such diverse ways of thinking." Zara nodded, a thoughtful expression on her face. "I think it's because we've had to adapt so quickly. Earth has changed dramatically just in the last few centuries. We had to evolve our thinking to keep up. Professor Xylok, who had joined the discussion, waved a tentacle in agreement. Indeed, I must admit, Miss Chen, I had severely underestimated the potential of human cognition. Your ability to draw connections between seemingly unrelated concepts is most impressive. Coming from the once skeptical professor, this was high praise indeed. Zara felt a surge of pride, not just for herself, but for all of humanity. As the academy settled back into its routine, albeit with a new appreciation for interdisciplinary collaboration, Headmaster Kronos called for a special assembly. The Grand Hall, so recently the site of panic and desperate planning, now hummed with anticipation. Kronos appeared at the center, his chronal form more stable than Zara had ever seen it. Esteemed colleagues and students, he began, his voices harmonizing in a cosmic symphony. The recent crisis has taught us many things, not least of which is the value of diversity in thought and approach. He gestured towards Zara, inviting her to join him at the center. Feeling hundreds of alien eyes upon her, she stepped forward, chin held high. Miss Chen and her fellow humans have shown us that true intelligence is not merely a function of computational power or accumulated knowledge. It is the ability to adapt, to see patterns where others see only chaos, and to imagine solutions beyond the boundaries of established thought. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Zara saw nods of approval from beings of all forms and origins. In light of this, Kronos continued, the Galactic Council has decided to fast-track the integration of humanity into the wider galactic community. We will be establishing exchange programs, research partnerships, and diplomatic ties with Earth on an unprecedented scale. The announcement was met with enthusiastic applause. Zara felt a swell of emotion, realizing the magnitude of this moment for her species. Furthermore, Kronos added, his faces showing a mix of amusement and excitement, we will be implementing a new course of study here at the Academy. Human cognitive approaches will be offered to all students, with Miss Chen as a key contributor to the curriculum. Zara's jaw dropped. She had come to the academy to learn, and now she would be teaching as well. The responsibility was enormous, but so was the opportunity to bridge the gap between human and alien ways of thinking. As the assembly dispersed, buzzing with plans and possibilities, Zara found herself surrounded by her closest alien friends. Lumina pulsed with pride, while Krista's crystalline form sparkled with excitement. You've opened up a whole new realm of possibilities for us all, Luna said, her tentacles gently squeezing Zara's shoulder. Krista chimed in agreement. I never imagined I'd be saying this, but I can't wait to learn more about human culture and thought processes. Your art, your music, your literature, they all offer new ways of perceiving the universe. Zara smiled, feeling a sense of purpose settling over her. And I can't wait to learn more from all of you. This is just the beginning of what we can achieve together. As the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the impact of humanity's contribution continued to ripple across the galaxy. The first wave of human students arrived at the academy, bringing with them fresh perspectives and boundless enthusiasm. Earth welcomed alien diplomats and scientists, the exchange of knowledge and culture flowing both ways. New technologies emerged from the collaboration between human intuition and alien expertise. Breakthroughs in medicine, energy production, and space travel came at an unprecedented pace. The quantum anomaly crisis, terrifying as it had been, had opened the door to a new era of galactic cooperation. One evening, as Zara stood on one of the Academy's observation decks, gazing out at the star-studded expanse of space, she felt a presence beside her. Headmaster Kronos materialized, his chronal energy swirling gently. Quite a view, isn't it? He mused, his voices blending with the hum of the force fields separating them from the vacuum of space. Zara nodded, still in awe of the cosmic tapestry before her. It's beautiful, and to think, we're just beginning to explore it all. Kronos' faces shifted through a series of contemplative expressions. You know, Miss Chen, in all my millennia of existence, I've rarely been surprised. But you and your species, you've managed to do just that. He turned to face her fully, his eyes reflecting the starlight. The coming years will not be easy. There will be challenges, misunderstandings, perhaps even conflicts. But I believe that with humanity's unique perspective added to the galactic community, we are better equipped to face whatever the universe may throw at us. Zara felt the weight of his words, the immense responsibility and incredible opportunity they represented. "We won't let you down," she said softly, her voice filled with determination. As they stood there, human and carnivore side by side, Zara couldn't help but feel a sense of optimism for the future. Humanity had taken its first true steps into the galactic community, not as conquerors or supplicants, but as partners and innovators. The stars beckoned, full of mysteries to unravel and wonders to explore, and thanks to the unbreakable human spirit of curiosity, adaptability, and determination, the galaxy would never be the same again. The story of Zara Chen and the Galactic Academy was just the beginning. As ships bearing the flags of Earth and 100 alien worlds launched into the cosmic deep, a new chapter in the history of the universe had begun, one where the unique strengths of every species, including humanity, would shape the destiny of all.